What is the U.S. interest that is so valuable that justifies taking all of these risks?
It's like Biden needs to become a Swiftie, and just like listen to the song and just like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like, I feel like he just hasn't listened to that bop. Just like, look in the mirror, bro. It's you. You are the problem. Get out of the way. Step aside, my friend. Because, I mean, and that's the last piece of this treaty that I'm like, Hail Mary, we restart the Iran deal by the election. Does that do anything? Does it get him anything?
I think look, the Biden administration towards the end was trying hard to do that. I think they messed it up really much in the very beginning of it.
Sure.
At this point, I don't think the Iranians would sign on to anything the Biden administration would offer because they're not trusting that the Biden administration would remain in power. So why sign with something that Trump is going to rip up again? So I think we kind of actually, in some ways, the Iranians missed the boat on that last fall. But in principle, I agree with you. Yes, for the love of God, there's actually good things that we have done that we just need to return to.
Right.
And we would be in a much better situation. So for instance, if we had a JCPOA, we would now have had a dialogue with the Iranians, which would have made our communication much more effective and our effort for de-escalation much, much more effective.
Right.
We would not have had any militias most likely attacking U.S. troops and soldiers and potentially killing some of them. On top of that, we most likely would not have had the Iranians providing drones to Russia in the war in Ukraine. All of that has just fallen apart because Trump pulled out and Biden didn't go back in. And then when he tried to go back in later on, the window by and large closed already.
I mean, it's wild given it's very like our cycles have to sync. And I don't mean menstrual cycles. I mean electoral cycles between Iran and the US. Our cycles have to sync so that we can get like sort of level-headed leaders at the same time in power, but early in their tenure and they're, so they're not, and like, but you're totally right. Like a year after Biden gets elected, he's already campaigning or whatnot. And it's like, nah, I don't know. We'll talk to the next guy if we talk with him at all.
I have a question. So, I mean, I've been listening to like BBC and stuff, and they talk about Netanyahu's. First of all, he was super unpopular before this even happened with what he did to their Supreme Court and all that. But do you think there is any chance that this conflict could break apart that right-wing regime and like get a leader who's more reasonable and could actually? Because I don't believe what he's doing now is going to lead to a peaceful solution, but like get some leadership in there that could actually create a viable solution and a path forward for the future. Do you think that's?
I think we can almost be certain that at the end of this crisis, Netanyahu's political career is over, which is part of the reason why he does not have an interest in seeing this crisis come to a conclusion.
Right.
Because he knows very well that it's over. But here's two challenges. First of all, Netanyahu is essentially the moderate guy in this coalition that he has. He has such extreme voices in this coalition. And the second problem is over the course of the years, the radicalization has taken place, including over the last couple of weeks and what Hamas did to Israel on October 7th. You have a massive radicalization taking place in Israel as well.
Yes.
You don't have those voices left. And many of them have migrated. They're not living in Israel any longer. They have left. They live in Germany. They live in the US, etc. And you have a similar situation on the Palestinian side in which diplomacy has not yielded anything for them. Negotiation has not brought anything to them. So people are turning towards more radical pathways. And particularly when it comes to the Israeli left, it is weaker now than it ever has been in the last years.
Sure.
So I mean, Netanyahu out of the picture. It does not mean that the picture changes in a dramatic way. We had Naftali Bennett running Israel for about a year and a half in between. We didn't see a significant change. He was also pursuing a policy that made the two-state solution an impossibility. He may not have said it as explicitly as Netanyahu is doing now. But there's part of the analysis in Washington in which we're trying to put so much of this on Netanyahu that ends up backfiring because it creates a false impression that other leaders, current leaders in Israel, actually would be pursuing a dramatically different approach. I just don't think that's the case.
Right.
So we're fucked. No, but I do think the ray of hope is, in the US we can do what we can do, and more than ever in my lifetime, people are truly seeing Israel for what it is, in terms of its occupation and aggression, and also realizing this is completely not in our interests. And also, this, as young American Jews know, this doesn't represent young American Jews or Jews worldwide. And so there's a bigger rift than ever. So I choose to focus on that. And if we can do nothing other than take back or revoke or stop funding the Israeli military, that would be incredible. Even just $1 million less. And we just obviously signed, a massive military budget, right? What is it? Not the NCAA.
Well, it's not passed yet, but there's an effort to pass $14 billion to Israel, which is a significant increase. But let me agree with you on that, because I do think that sea change that you just pointed to in terms of American attitudes and viewpoints on this is, it is a sea change, and I don't think it is temporary. I think for many young people, this has been a formative experience.
Yes.
George Floyd was probably their first political formative experience. This is George Floyd internationalized.
Yes, 100%.
And that means that it's going to last longer. This is not a temporary thing. And, come November, they're not going to forget this. In fact, this is probably going to go on in some way, some shape by then as well. So it's not going to be easily forgotten anyways. But I think also already we're seeing some impact of it. The fact that we have only 15, but nevertheless 15% of members of Congress who are calling for a ceasefire, far less than what we would have wished for, but probably far more than what we would have had 10 years ago, is to a very large extent to public opinion. I would give particular credit to two Jewish American organizations, If Not Now and Jewish Voices for Peace, who very early on showed a tremendous amount of courage and integrity, called for this, and gave political cover for a lot of politicians to come out and say that they are in favor of a ceasefire.
Absolutely. And they've been working for so many years before this. But in this moment of, in the wake of October 7th, in the wake of something so heinous that we all knew was going to precipitate something even worse, they were there in front. And that's why you build organizations. That's why you keep talking about this. And that's why in time of need, you don't switch your political beliefs suddenly. Oh, now I believe in genocide, when normally I don't. But in this case, I do. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.